Hello, this is What's All About, and in this review we're looking at the latest offering by Audaz, however you want to say it, Audaz, and this is their Scuba Master. As you can see, it's a pretty beastie watch, and it is a serious diving watch, but obviously we'll go into further detail as this review progresses to see if it is still a decent watch for the price. So it will cost you $380. The RRP exactly is $379. That equates to roughly just over £300, so about £305 currently. The main thing to be aware of is that it has a 500-meter water resistance. That's 50 atmospheres, and obviously includes this helium release valve. So it is most definitely designed to be a well-used, high-spec dive watch. Size-wise, as you can see, it's pretty big. We have a diameter of a whopping 50 millimeters. Let's put it on. So a diameter of 50 mil. I have a 7¼ inch wrist. It has a height of 17 mil as well, and then a lug-to-lug length of 57.5 mil. So it definitely is a very large watch, especially when you consider the large oversized crown as well. In addition to the size, it's pretty weighty, so you do get a good feeling of quality. It's 153 grams, so you can definitely feel it sitting on your wrist. As I mentioned before, water resistance is 500 meters. The warranty is 2 years, and the movement used is the Seiko NH35A, which I've seen quite a number of times before. It is a low beat movement, 21.6 thousand beats per hour, but it does have all of the other specs as you'd expect: hacking second hand, hand wind capabilities, etc., and just a general good reliability, and straight out of the factory it's usually pretty accurate as well. Okay, so let's go through each section piece by piece then. Starting off with the dial, you can't see it too much, but the dial itself is actually a dark mother of pearl finish to it. Obviously, it has ties to the sea, so it is a fitting choice. Does it call out to me personally? I don't think it particularly does. You can see sort of a decent view of it there. It's quite hard to see actually on the camera. I personally would have just preferred a plain, shiny backdrop to the dial rather than the mother of pearl. But it's quite unusual, something that's a bit different as well. So in a way, that is good. The applied hour markers, they will have polished outlines, as you can see. The logo is applied as well, and the date window has a polished border to it. I wished that they were a little bit thicker. It would have provided a little bit extra quality when you're looking at the watch. So that's my main gripe with the entire watch, really, especially the logo. You can see there, we'll look at it in closer detail with the macro lens, but you can see it's extremely thin. It doesn't look very high quality. It looks a little bit tacky, unfortunately, which is a shame. The hands, as you can see, a similar setup to the hour markers. They have a polished outside to them, loomed centre, nice striking red second hand as well, so that's good. I think the hands, I'm not sure if they're a little bit too short for the size of the watch. It would have been nice if the second hand was reaching all the way out to the rehaut, and then the hour hand reaching all the way down to the edge of these hour markers here. But saying that, that's again just my personal opinion. I don't think there's anything wrong with them. It's just I thought it would because of the size of the watch, I think it makes sense to have a much larger set of hands as well, because as you can see, they are just a little bit on the small side when you consider the watch as a whole. So the printing on the dial, all perfectly fine. Nothing be concerned with there. And then the rehout, we have a nice minute track with some red and white printed there to introduce some colour. Moving on to the case then. The case itself has a very Oris kind of feel to it, almost like a bulbous kind of shape. You can see it's very curved edges, which is very nice. I really do like the case, and the case is most definitely the star of the show, really. A bezel, a little bit stiff to use, but really nice action. It is easy to turn once you get going. Obviously, if it is a serious diving watch, you need to have a decent, reliable bezel that won't go backwards. Barely any movement in it as well, which is good. So you can tell that it's got some good mechanics behind it. The helium release valve on the side, as you can see, has some nice finishing to it. On the other side we have the crown and the crown guard. So this crown is absolutely huge, so be careful that it doesn't jab the side of your wrist when you're wearing the watch. Very nicely machined though. We have the Audaz logo on the edge, and then this grip. It looks like it's like DLC coated steel, which is very impressive. I initially thought that it could have been hard plastic, but it's not. It's actually, it seems to be like a steel ring, so that's very nice. And the crown itself is really good, and it's obviously a screw-in crown as well. Very good thread on that as well. Moving on to the case back then, I have a little motif, picture illustration of a scuba diver. The details surrounding the outside, they're all fairly well engraved, and obviously an exhibition window for the movement itself. The strap, very comfortable soft silicone. You have the Audaz logo embossed on the end there. The buckle, it's the same as all the other Audaz watches. I just think it's a little bit plain. It would have been nicer to have something a bit cooler, maybe like a Pre-V buckle, but obviously it will do the job just fine. Completely brushed to match the case with the Audaz logo engraved on the top bar there. But it's very easy to use, does the job fine, as I mentioned, and just wish it was a tiny bit more interesting. So there we go. So now let me put the macro lens on and we'll discuss it in even closer detail. Okay, starting off with the dial then. So there's the rather unfortunately flat logo, so it doesn't particularly signify great quality, which is a shame. The hour markers are thicker, so if only the logo was the thickness of the hour markers, then it would change it, change the appearance. So there's the date window. Date window is very nice, nice polished border to that, and then we have our reasonably short dumpy hands. Got a slight pitch to them, but the finishing of the hands is actually very good. As you can see, even under a macro lens, they're pretty much flawless. And there's our red seconds hand ticking away. Our rehout there. Okay, so moving on to the case, let's have a look at the bezel first. So we have this ring of polished steel around the outside of the bezel, just a plain printed insert to it. So then if we move on to the side, we then have this large block of stainless steel. Here's our helium release valve. There you go. So that's very nicely done for the, considering the size of it and the price of the watch. Here's the top of the lug, so we have a very tiny bit of detailing there, a little ridge almost, slightly polished on the corner of every lug, as you can see. So that's an interesting little touch. Moving on to the crown. So there's the Audaz logo, very nicely deeply engraved on the end of the crown there. Then we have our big fat grip, which is very cool. You can see our crown guards there as well, protruding out. Okay, moving on to the case back. So all of these various specifics engraved around the outside. And we have our scuba painting on the underside of the exhibition window, and there's our NH35A movement, which to be honest isn't the most glorious looking movement, so to have it obscured slightly isn't really a problem. You just spin it around and we can have a look inside there, ticking away. It's a fairly industrial kind of style movement, so there you go. Finally the strap. So here's the top, some various scuba-esque detailing. No markings on the underside, only this bit of branding here at the base of the long half. There we go, and then finally the buckle. So we can see there the brushing, and then just the logo engraved on the top there. Okay. So I have a couple of reservations about the watch. Firstly, the quality of the elements on the dial. I just wished they would have used slightly higher quality aspects. The logo in particular, for a £300 watch, you'd want to either have it printed or have something nice, a nice applied logo. So it is a shame that it is a little bit on the flat side. Apart from that, everything else is perfectly fine on the dial. Yes, it would have been nicer to have better quality hour markers, but they're not really that bad. So I just think it would have been nice to have the logo match the rest of them. The only other, it's not really an issue, but it would have been nice to have a slightly nicer buckle, really. And for me personally, I'm not too keen on the mother of pearl dial. But again, that's just my personal preference from a visual perspective. Other than that, the case itself is a wonderful work of art for the price of watch. For around £300, you'd very rarely see a case quite like this. The machining is all excellent. The size is gigantic. The crown is lovely as well. Very easy to use. Very impressive. Obviously the movement as well, it's a good movement, Seiko NH35A, you can't really go wrong with that. The only concern is that if you were to pay another £100 or so, you would be able to get a Swiss-made diver watch in the form of a Steinhardt, but it wouldn't have quite this level of water resistance. It doesn't look the same either, because obviously that Steinhardt is a Submariner homage, whereas this is most definitely a unique looking watch. So although it does have a kind of Oris kind of theme to it, it is most definitely a watch that is unique. There's not a lot out there that looks quite like this. When you're wearing it, it definitely does speak volumes as well. So I'll just put it back on. So people do notice it, as you can imagine, because of the size. Good talking point as well. So this was the Audaz Scuba Master, and that's what it's all about.